you need to have like maybe 70% of the OG military, and you bring 30% immigrants, and then they're able to understand the culture of what it means to be American. But if you got 70% fucking fobs that are Navy SEALs and and the other 30% are like the regular guys, it's like, what the
Welcome back to another very important episode of The Careful Boys, where we are very lucky to have Kalyne here with us.
Oh, we're so lucky!
Wow. Okay, so Kalyne is the expert on this topic, so we're gonna talk about military-aged Chinese people illegally migrating into America.
Got you.
Is this an off-the-record or article?
It's not off the record. I just feel like we should talk about it.
Okay.
Oh, dang.
Because we've brushed on the topic, but we've never like talked
So we're only gonna talk about the Chinese ones.
specifically the Chinese.
Why? Is it because it's your culture?
Because I'm 40.
It's because you're Chinese too.
42% now.
Okay.
42.1 I just checked.
Oh, wow. 23andMe keeps changing.
Congrats.
That's more than me.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Loser.
Why? What percentage were you?
Mine's like 45% Scottish now.
Shut up!
Our chart switched.
He drinks too much whiskey.
You don't believe me?
That's Irish, fool!
What's Scottish? Do Scottish. Do Scottish.
I don't know. That's Groundskeeper Willie.
Oh.
Now do Braveheart. Do any line from Braveheart.
He's Jewish.
Oh yeah, you're right.
William Wallace was 7 feet tall.
Yeah, that's good Scottish. Scottish like that. Laddie.
He could shoot balls of fire from his arse.
Can I
Fire.
tell you what I think about the topic?
Yes, please.
So I only know about the border based off of just random clips that people are recording, right? So I'm like, I don't even know if that's the truth. But based off what I've seen, yes, there's a bunch of refugees from all over. Like, it almost seems like there's more, because traditionally you go, who's crossing the border? Fucking Mexicans. But it almost seems like there's way more non-Mexicans crossing the border than there are Mexicans. And yes, you do see a bunch of Chinese motherfuckers with like fresh ass fades and shit. I'm like, if they're so fucking poor, where'd you get that fresh fade to cross the country with? And they are military aged. And China, if they're trying to take over, I'm like, isn't it kind of like the perfect Trojan horse to send a bunch of these fucking Li Wang Tang Zhang Zi Zhu Zhao's in
Those are scary names
and
to
then
fight
fucking
against.
infiltrate the motherfucker?
Oh my god.
You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
If America was a penis, our condom's broken right now.
We gotta fix the border situation, bro.
Yeah. There's lots of fucking Chinese sperm coming in this uterus.
Yeah.
That is weird, huh? Like, when you see the footage, there's like way more like Middle Eastern, African.
Lots of Africans.
Yeah.
Well, Chinese is the fastest growing
China.
population that's
Coming in?
Coming in.
Wow.
They're not. I don't know if they're the most, but they're the fastest growing because the what is it called? Since I think it's like 50 times higher now or some shit.
I have two kind of reasons for it. One is the sinister one, and one is an economic one. So the sinister one is like kind of what Bart mentioned. They're coming in Manchurian candidate style, like they're like sleeper cells. When Mr. Xi Jinping says it's time, they go kung fu time.
1、2、3、4.
They fucking try to fuck shit up, right? They're like, time to dust the COVID in everybody. Or like, yeah.
That's one strategy.
Yeah. But the economic one is China's not doing so hot.
That's
economically.
Yeah, that's what they say in
They don't
interviews.
have enough jobs. A lot of the factories are defaulting. You know, ever since Evergrande crashed, I heard like a lot of shit started going south in China. And even from people that I know, that they're like, yeah, like the factories out there, they're not getting the orders that they used to. So they're starting to change their minimums. So like back then, like just a couple of years ago, you'd have to make an order. Like let's say you're making this, right? And then they'll be like, you have to order 1,000 for us to even ship it over to you, right? Yeah. But these days, they'll just be like, what you need? And I'll be like, this? Okay, here's a sample. Tell me how many you need. I'll be like, 10? Okay. And then it's like, they just need work, right?
I'll give you 10. Yeah, that's true though.
So it's changed a lot because they just need work. And what I'm hearing is that a lot of dudes are just out of work. So that's why they need to go and find work in the America states.
When they're interviewing all those people that are coming through, they are just saying, I had this job in China, but then it's hard now. That's their like thing. It's too hard, and then they're all hearing how easy it is to get in right now.
Yeah, the whole world.
That's the main. That's the main thing is they're receiving videos and photos and straight up arrangements on how to get here, and that it'll be fine. The asylum rate for Chinese people that come through, it's over 50% granted. Wow. So then, like, if you can just get in, you can file for asylum once you're in, and you'll be good. But then for every other nationality, ethnicity, it's 14% or lower. So for some reason, America is saying it's cool. Yeah, come.
There is a.
Isn't that weird?
There's a third theory. So one is definitely the
military.
The military one is the crazy one too, because I mean I think invasion is like obviously a fucking concept that's crazy in general. Like if China is like planning a long game coup of America, you know,
which they do.
Yeah, and just
there's already history of sending like a 5-year-old, and then when the 5-year-old's 21. They're like, you know what you're supposed to do, and then they're like, I've been waiting, and you're like, God damn, they play the long game.
So that is crazy, and then of course the economic conditions of China and like the ease of getting into American asylum. But the third one is the military one, talking about like why so many military-aged Chinese people are coming over and stuff like that, and the idea that we are so in such like a polarized society right now with the way things are going that they're trying to bring back like retired like military personnel in order to come join the army because nobody's like signing up and stuff like that. So all of our defense is down and the amount of recruitment is like super down.
All-time low, yeah.
Yeah, so they're like, well, if it's gonna get even more complicated where like there are different like people in the military that are not willing to do immoral actions based off of like the government's decision making and stuff, then you bring in military-aged people from another nation, you grant them citizenship, of course they're going to be indebted or willing to do whatever it is militaristic. You know what I mean? Like, wise for you. So,
but that's not a new. That's not a new concept.
It was like when the Irish came to America back in the day too, right?
Well,
like
in general, like even if you haven't been in America yet, like the U.S. military will allow like foreigners to join the military and do all this work overseas and whatever, and then once you've done your time, you can actually get citizenship. I know a few people that's done that because they're like, I try to go through the proper channels. They're like, my Chinese ass can't do it, so then I joined the Navy, and then so I'm like, what's the difference there? Maybe there's a technicality.
Well,
there,
historically, I think that is a fair trade because it's always happened in our country's history, but it always happened usually during and or preceding like wartime or like the need for it is all. You know what I'm saying? And I think that people who are skeptic of like the timing and the way that it's happening, especially during this administration too, are just very like, well, this is also coming during historic all-time lows for recruitment and also during a time where people are like not agreeing with like the decision making and the wars that we're getting ourselves involved in.
Yeah, I think to me, like, the main problem isn't, obviously there's our borders are like just wide open, so that's its own problem, but the bigger problem, I think, is actually like the assimilation issue. So one, if we're not entertaining the military aspect of it, but if there are people that are down to do jobs for way cheaper, and if our current working class generation already doesn't want to work, then they are just going to get replaced, and we're going to have more and more disgruntled people that are capable, that are true Americans, and then like it almost feels like our entire foundation is getting replaced, and I don't know what's going to happen to these people. Are they going to be jobless, or unemployment going to go all-time high? Is disgruntled, and
they're already complaining because like these, you know, quote unquote illegal immigrants that are coming in are getting like, they're getting money, they're getting fucking asylum, they're getting like housing, they're getting like
they're getting set up basically to replace you.
So now like imagine you have like 18-year-old 19-year-old kid, and he's just got replaced, he can't even get a job, so there's that aspect of it. And then the other part is, you know, like anytime you like try to assimilate or even try to fucking clean water out of your fish tank, you siphon out a little bit and you add a little bit of fresh water, right? But then what creates the good ecosystem is majority is still the original water with the correct pH. So if the country
too much and too abrupt.
Yeah. So if the country has a correct pH you need to keep, you need to have like maybe 70% of the OG military, and you bring 30% immigrants, and then they're able to understand the culture of what it means to be American. But if you got 70% fucking fobs that are Navy SEALs and shit, and the other 30% are like the regular guys, it's like, what the fuck?
I mean, I think
Navy SEAL culture is gone, dude. What up, guys? This episode is brought to you by Robinhood. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, you can still have an IRA? Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer in from other retirement accounts with a 3% match. That's right, no cap on the 3% match. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through April 30th. Get started at robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply, and now for some legal info. Claim as of Q1 2024, validated by Radius Global Market Research. Investing involves risk, including loss. Limitations apply to IRAs and 401ks. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold for 1 year from the date of first 3% match. Must keep Robinhood IRA for 5 years. The 3% matching on transfers is subject to specific terms and conditions. Robinhood IRA available to U.S. customers in good standing. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC, is a registered broker-dealer.
I think there's reasons to, even if it's stupid, right? There's reasons to the reaction. Like, even if it's dumb, I think there's a point to why it's done, but we're not being told what it is. Like,
Yeah, I think so too.
yeah, like there's probably a necessity that opened up the floodgates.
Yeah.
Or there's a strategy here for why it's done. Because I think, well, for one, we all saw that all of the entry-level jobs in fast food and everything, there's a shortage. No one wants to work, right? Gen Z doesn't want to work those jobs, and they're traditionally meant as like to be for people that just are learning how to work for the first time, and then you know get older, you
cycle out, yeah.
You cycle up, but and also they've been mainly for jobs for immigrants too, because that's where you're like low skilled labor. You're just in this country, you're gonna learn the language. Yeah. But during COVID, I heard there was like a super slowdown in all of that. And then so to catch up, they have to like open up. But I don't know. I think that's been the ongoing thing where like people that are more like I guess blue collared workers in America, you know how they're taking our jobs type?
Yeah.
Like their argument was always, hey, you're fucking it up for citizens because now you bring in low skilled labor that'll do the same job for way cheaper and we can't compete. So we can't have decent jobs. And then so manufacturing, farming, blue collar labor, everything that were traditionally for the working class in America, they kept getting disrupted because they just let immigrants in for super cheap. But I don't know like what the real answer is, because is it allowing the working class like a better wage and like health and all that stuff so they can continue doing that job? Or do you look at the big picture and go, well, eventually these guys are going to be like car manufacturing unions where they get $300K for working on an assembly line, and it's not really a working class job anymore, and there's not enough people, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like,
Well, what's the agenda then for the people that are the elite
That's the
that
thing
are
that's
against it?
interesting. Yeah.
Because there's on this side, we don't know why they're really doing it. And then there are people at the elite level, 50%, that are also against it. What is their reason why they're against it? Like, do they know? Or are they in the same...
are you talking about like the conservative?
Conservative thought. Like, they're against it, even at the highest level,
think, like,
senators, whatever.
What I've seen is that the thing they're against is the amount of financial resources that goes to helping them when there's other problems in their community that are not being addressed.
Yeah.
Like homelessness in New York or something. And they're like, oh, but they're going to make this whole entire hotel like a place for migrants to live. But then there's Americans outside of it that are living on the sidewalk.
Yeah, I think Joe Rogan was specifically talking about how like a lot of like black voters are now going to vote for Trump.
They're changing because of that, yeah.
Yeah, specifically because of those things. They're like, well, what about the assistance that like we need?
Yeah, they feel duped into like having supported this party, and then now they're the second thing and third thing, and they just keep moving down on the list again.
It's like prioritizing foreigners versus citizens.
But yeah, I don't know what it is interesting because you could tell like if in the elite level, like the country wants this. Like it's very clear now.
Yeah.
That they're like, yeah, come in, hurry, shut the fuck up. But then like in who's against it in the elite, are they really against it?
Yeah, because there's always media or public knowledge for both sides, but there's also true incentive for both sides.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, what are the true incentives?
Is it a cheaper labor play?
But what about the guys that are against it?
I
Right,
think
that's
the
the thing that's
economy or economists came up and they said, hey, this is where our economy is going if we don't fill the void with people. And then so they go, all right, well, we got to open up the floodgates.
Right, because that's what makes it strange to me. Where like if you have like conservative elites against it, there's no way that any like rich businessman is against immigrated was it cheap labor? You know what I mean? Like that's everybody's freaking.
Yeah, and so what's crazy? It's like even the conservatives that are businessmen,
Yeah.
or like the conservatives that people claim, like people consider Elon Musk conservative, right?
Yeah.
Like even him, he would be like, we need to secure our borders, and he's pro automation. You know what I mean? So it's even someone like him where he's technically doesn't even have his like any cards in the game. He's still like, we need to close this shit up because our shit's getting fucked up. And he's not even, like, having more cheap labor doesn't even help him because he's pro-automation.
Right. That's what makes you think that.
Well, maybe when you're also like that rich, you get to like play on your ideals.
Yeah,
And
we have
not
more
when
resources.
he's not also a politician.
That's what makes you feel like they're not. A lot of people aren't really against it in that way. Kind of like how some people aren't really for it. You know, like you were saying, where like the country just needs all these immigrants in, but then. Like people already know what's gonna happen, so why not just say you're against it? It's gonna, they're gonna come through.
Like
you're gonna get them.
What if we're we're a government, right? And then we have the smartest economists that came together, and they're like, look, guys, all of our like charts show that in 10 years, if they don't breed, if they don't replenish the population, we have like this whole boomer generation that's gonna retire. We can't fill out this is gonna be crazy. We need to open up the borders. And then the administration might go, all right, that's a great plan, so we have to do it. But also we do have this fake political theater, right? Like a lot of the times they're in cahoots, the right and the left. What if it's just a game of, hey, it's your turn to be the good guy, open it up. Now it's our turn to be the bad guy, we're gonna close it down. Or be a good guy to their team, right? And it's just this, it's like controlling the waters in a dam, where you open up to release the pressure and then you close it for a little bit for the time being, and then it's kind of like this ebb and flow game. That could be possible too.
Yeah.
It is possible because at the end of the day, if you had to lead a nation at a high level, like you're not gonna give a fuck about like the opinions of people.
It's not morality, it's survival.
But what about one of your governor's opinions? Right? So Governor Abbott is highly against it, and the people that are coming at it from, so like, yeah, good guy, bad guy, damn, whatever, right? But there's also a national security issue.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's actually easy to address because he's state focused versus federally focused.
And also because he's a politician put in place by the people that voted him there, he has to be representative of their voices, even if he knows that maybe he can't do anything.
I do think he's being fucked by the dude above him though. I do think that they're like, we need you guys to be the state that gets fucked for this to happen. And I think he's like, well, I don't want to be that state.
It's not exactly like he's super big fry either, you know what I mean? Like when economies, for example, in this theory, when they're making these decisions on the long game of America's like survival, it's like a governor is gonna
he's state focused versus federal.
But it's also crazy though when he sent the state guard, right? And he relieved feds. He goes, Border Patrol, you guys get out of here. I'm gonna summon and activate the state guards. And then he goes, Biden, your move. So that's pretty fucking crazy because he's like, he put the gun on the table, cocked it, pointed at Biden, and then it can easily turn into war.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm like, it also feels like he's incentivized to represent the people for sure, but it's also like he's also willing to go to bloodshed to make this thing happen. So it becomes like a little bit more serious than just theater now.
Because their issues are way more different too. Like the people that came through their borders was, how many people came through the El Paso border? It was like
It's millions.
He said there's like 20 million.
So it's
illegals
like
now.
the issues that they're dealing with as a state is so different than everyone else.
Yeah, they're kind of screwed in this whole
So
situation.
his back is against the wall, so he's kind of.
Because then it's also on him to like provide support and everything for everyone's coming.
It's like, what is he supposed to do?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Millions? That's insane. That changes a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's like I think it's common though where states and the federal
They always bump heads.
fight. But I wouldn't know if everyone in politics are in cahoots, right? Like that's kind of too perfect. So I think there's competing fractions, like even within the right and the left.
Well, because they want different, like, I think they're playing for different goals.
Well, the strange thing too is that like there's a legal way to get a shitload of people into the country. They all want to come, right? But then their complaint is that when they're asked like, why didn't you do it the legal way? Like tell these Chinese people that are crossing, and they're like, oh well, the legal way is you have to get this government app that doesn't fucking work, and it's like 4 months of waiting on the minimum when you try to sign up for asylum that way. And you can't just go to the border without the app. Like you have to have this app set up and shit. And it's such a broken system that they're like the only option is to go through a hole.
Yeah.
and then do asylum when you're in. So then if the government really wants this, why are they making it difficult to do it legally?
Just fix the app.
Because that's the part that does infuriate the last generation.
Yeah.
Like people like Gio's mom, they're like, we all did this legally.
Yep.
Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. That's why the sentiment is so bad. Yeah.
When it's easier to do it illegally and it's not punished, that makes me think that it's not just incompetence that's at play here. I think it's more deliberate. Like it's intentional.
Yeah.
And so when I go, why is it intentional? It's probably not moral, right? Why? I think it's more. I got to look at it as how is it beneficial. And then the unfortunate truth about illegal immigration is if they're not a citizen, if they're not on a visa, you can boot them at any time. You get cheap labor that most Americans don't want to do. And you can, and most illegal immigrants typically work for a couple of years, send that money back to their home country, and they go back too. They don't really have intentions to stay. So, it could just be that we need more servants that are illegal, and the more people that become citizens, now they're entitled to more rights.
The scary part is the servants also kill and because just in this last week, what was the number? It was like 7.
They're spiking. They're having spikes.
Yeah, like 7 murder/rapes in just this week by illegals.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, we need more servants, but if it's like at
At what cost?
Yeah, what cost?
The crazy thing is that those same, again, hypothetically, economists or whatever, like those casualties are probably factored in.
Yeah, it's like theft. It's like theft factor, right? They probably
They already know that
If it goes over this percentage, then we gotta.
You know what's really unique about the Chinese people that are coming in though, is that they can't go back to China no more. So the difference is that when they leave China to come here illegally, they can't be deported because China won't accept them.
Really?
Yeah. So
That's
they end up stuck in the middle. If they get kicked out, America can't force China to take back people that have left. So when you have people coming from Mexico or coming from Argentina or like anywhere like South America that are like, that are migrant travelers that cross through, they can't go back if they need to. But if the Chinese guy gets through, he's here.
I don't know, that seems like checkmate by China.
Seems like they're winning.
Because it's like, okay, we dump all these motherfuckers, you don't absorb them, people start dying, and you don't apply your own resources, becomes a humanitarian issue, and humanitarian issues turn into PR issues. Look at the Americas, the whole North and South American continent. They're inhumane. You think we're inhumane with fucking Tibet and all the Uyghurs and shit? Look at these guys.
Yeah.
But at least at least we can hope for
Sick play.
That's a great
Yeah,
play.
just checkmate, man.
if generally there's no sleeper cells or sleeper agents and these Chinese people are just regular ass like Chinese people that want to work hard, live the dream, things are gonna be pretty cool. Like if everybody's good, then
Maybe the Monterey Park real estate market come back.
yeah, it's gonna be pretty tight for the economy.
Start buying pads in Chinatown.
I mean, I think most people just want to work and survive. That's the whole age. Like every single time there's like refugee situations, immigrant situations. This always happens, right? There's always like a criminal group that slides in. There's always some paranoia about new immigrants. But I think time and time again, what we've seen is that like the xenophobia is just a lot of paranoia, but most people are decent folks that just want to survive.
Hey, insensitive racial question. Are the crimes that's been happening with like immigrants coming in, are any of them Chinese?
Nope. That's not insensitive.
Point one for Chinese.
Yeah. Well,
Ryan's making his case here. He's really making his point.